I grew up in a Christian home. I'm the daughter of missionaries, and I was surrounded by people of faith, strong believers who had given up a lot in their personal lives in order to follow Jesus and serve him overseas. I knew Jesus from a young age, but I didn't become baptized until I was 18 years old, when I developed more of a personal faith as a result of a really deep sense of God's love for me. My name is Emily Davis, and I've been attending Knox since about 2010. Shortly after I graduated high school and I moved home to Toronto to go to university. Attending the University of Toronto was really challenging for me. I went to a really small high school. My graduating class was 50 students, and all of a sudden I was in these massive classes in Convocation Hall of 1,500 students. And it was a challenge for me, and I really struggled, and I failed courses, and I failed tests and things, and it was the first time I'd ever failed anything. And as a result, and also because of some various other things, I started to develop generalized anxiety disorder. And it got so bad that my mind tried to protect me from the intense panic and anxiety by making me numb. And then that became comorbid depression. Around the same time that I was experiencing these really intense mental health challenges in a season of my life that I thought was going to be really wonderful and full of independence and excitement and learning about new things and making friends, I was really struggling, and I was really lonely as well. I was 22 years old, and I had never had a romantic relationship. And it really was hard to consider the fact that maybe I never would. Maybe God didn't have somebody for me. Honestly, that thought really broke my heart. I'm such a relational person. If you talk to some of the people who know me best, they might say that I love people too much sometimes. And I've always wanted to have a family and to just be able to build life with someone. And I was upset, I was concerned, and I was complaining to a friend of mine, and she encouraged me to assess whether or not that longing in my heart was something that was from God, and to trust that if it is something that God placed in my heart, that he would be faithful. Many of you will know that I am now married to Brandon Davis, who you saw leading worship. He is the love of my life. He is so much more than I could have ever imagined for myself. And we went on our first date 3 days before my 23rd birthday. And as of this past August 5th, we'll have been married for 4 years. It's really interesting if you look back on those years before we started dating. He went to the University of Toronto too. We could have run into each other, but we just never did. And I can see so many ways where God was preparing me for this intended relationship. In those years when I was feeling my most lonely, I was also learning techniques to protect myself in terms of mental health. I was going to therapy. I had been on medication, and I was slowly starting to wean myself off of medication for anxiety and depression. And it meant that by the time Brandon and I began our relationship, I was able to enter into getting to know him and opening myself up to a relationship. It's with some of the best mental and emotional health of my life. If you are struggling with mental health issues, know that that does not mean that you are not ready for a serious, mature, loving relationship. God knows the people that you need in your life. Then this past year, I forgot some of that truth, that God's timing is the best timing. We were living in a basement apartment during the pandemic, and we were longing for some sunshine and feeling very trapped and wanting to move into a larger place with windows. Rental prices in Toronto were the lowest that they had been in a really, really long time. And I started to worry that if we didn't make a move in time, we would miss out on the great rental prices. And I developed this really unhealthy habit of frantically searching rental sites, finding places, deciding that they were the place that we needed to live in, and planning out the kitchens and looking for secondhand furniture online. And then, of course, the place would get leased, and I would be devastated and even more panic. In this time, Brandon reminded me that we should be praying and trusting God to provide the right place for us. Eventually, I brought this thing in my heart, this longing to our home church community. I asked them to pray for us, that God would provide the right place in His timing, and that I would be able to have peace for whatever that timing was. So we moved in here in April, and it has been so much more than I could have ever imagined for ourselves. I think about all of the other places that we could have ended up living if we had gone with my panicked reaction rather than waiting for God's timing. Have this constant reminder of God's goodness, both in where I live and in who I am married to, and still my faith in Him wavers constantly. And now there are new obsessions that squeeze my heart, new things that take over my mind that I worry need to happen now. So I say this as much to myself as to you, that God's timing is best, and the things that He has for us are better, greater, good.